Hello everyone, you're welcome to Lizama Stitches. My name is Amaka. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make a dartless pencil skirt using the hip allocation method. If this looks like what you would like to learn, keep watching, click on the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I upload new videos. Now, registration for our online classes is ongoing. If you are interested, you can contact us with the number on the screen, or you can click on the link in the description box below and join our WhatsApp group. So let's get started. Now, for us to achieve a perfect dartless fitted skirt, we are going to divide the hip circumference by 2, and whatever it gives us, we'll minus 1.5 inches from it. Now that 1.5 inches we are going to minus from the front panel, that is the front panel. From the front, on the front panel, we'll minus 1.5 inches from the front panel. And that 1.5 inches we are going to minus from the front panel, we are going to take it to the back panel. We are going to take it to the back panel. That is on the hip point. We'll take it to the back panel. We'll add it to the center back. Now this is a simple calculation. Now my hip circumference is 40 inches. 40 divided by 2 gives you 20 inches. Now 20 minus 1.5 inches gives you 18.5 inches. Gives you 18.5 inches. Now this 18.5 inches, we are going to divide it by 2, and that gives you 9.25. That is 9 1/4. So this is what I'm going to be working with for the front panel. This is what I'm going to be working with. Now this 1.5 inches that I'm going to minus from the front panel, I'm going to take it to the back panel. I'm going to add it to the center back. That is on the hip point. I'm going to add it to the center back. My waist circumference is 32 inches. 32 divided by 4 gives you 8 inches. Now this is my 8 inches. Now on the hip, I'm going to divide the hip circumference by 2. My hip circumference is 40 inches. 40 divided by 2 gives you 20 inches. Now 20 minus 1.5 inches gives you 18.5 inches. Now because my fabric is going to be on fold, I'm going to fold my fabric into 2. So I'm going to divide that 18.5 by 2. I'll divide that 18.5 by 2, and that gives you 9.25. That is 9 1/4. So on the hip, I'm going to mark 9 1/4 here. Now on the knee point, I'm going to be working with the hip measurement. Now my hip circumference is 40 inches. 40 divided by 4. I'm going to divide my hip circumference by 4. Now my hip circumference divided by 4 gives you 10 inches. Because it's going to be a pencil skirt, I'm going to minus 2 inches from that 10 inches. Now this is optional. You can actually use 1.5 inches, or you can also use 2 inches. So I'm going to minus 2 inches from this 10 inches. 2 inches. I'll minus 2 inches from this 10 inches, and that gives you 8 inches. So I'll connect the points. Now I'll connect this point to this point and this point to this point, just like this. On the waist point, I'm going to come down by ½ inch. I'm going to come down by ½ inch, and I'm going to connect this point to this point. So I'll just connect it back to this point, just like this. Now I'll add my seam allowance. I'm working with 1.5 inches seam allowance. And I'll connect the points. So I'm going to cut here first. I'll cut here first. Then after drafting the back panel, I'll cut off this part. So the hemming allowance, let me also add the hemming allowance. Though I'm not using... So I'll cut it. So this is the front panel. Now for the back, I'm still going to cut off this part. Now this is the back panel. I've drawn some lines already. Now this is my waist point, which is also going to serve as my starting point. Now this space I left here, now this is my zipper allowance, and where I'm going to add the 1.5 inches, which I removed from the front panel. So now this is the front panel. This is the front panel. When you place the front panel, I'm going to place the front panel on the back panel just like this. Remember, now this is my hip point. This is my hip point. So that's 1.5 inches, which I minused from the front panel. I'm going to return it here. So I'm returning it here. I'm going to mark 1.5 inches here. And I'll connect it. I'll connect this point to this point and this point to this point. Just like this. And I'm connecting this point to this point. So you see that I've returned that 1.5 inches. Now after that, I'm going to add my zipper allowance. I'm going to be working with 1.5 inches zipper allowance. So I'm going to add my zipper allowance from here. And I'll connect it. So this is how to get a perfect dartless fitted skirt using hip allocation method. Now I'm going to add my vent. Now I'm going to measure 6 inches. I'll measure 6 inches from here, and I'll just add, I'm going to use 1 inch for my vent. I think 1 inch is okay. So I'll cut it. So this is it. Now I'll separate the front panel from the back panel. This is the back panel, and I'll trim out this front panel. I'll trim the front. So this is the front panel, and this is the back. Now take note, that 1.5 inches I added it on the center back, not on the side, on the center back. It was on the center back I added it, not on the side. Take note. I've used the paper to cut my fabric. Now this is the front panel and this is the back panel. Now the front panel was cut on fold. I have one here. It was cut on fold. Now I have two pieces here. Now this is the back panel. I have two pieces here. And I also added seam allowance on the waist. I didn't add seam allowance when I was drafting. So I added seam allowance to my fabric. On the waist, I added half-inch seam allowance, which I'm going to use to attach the band. So let me show you what I'm going to do. So this is the front and this is the back. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew it. I'm going to join. Now this is the back panel. I'm going to place the back. I'm going to place this one on this right side facing right side, and I'll sew. I'll sew it to this point. I'll sew it to this point and I'll stop here. Now after sewing this, I'm going to have something like this. Then I'll bring the front. I'll join the front I'll place the front on the back, right side facing right side, and I'll sew. I'll sew here and I'll sew here. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. Then I'll show you the next thing to do. Now let me also show you the band. I've also cut out the band. I've cut out the waistband. Now this is the waistband. What I have here is, my waistband is 5 inches. 5 inches. When you place it on fold, you have 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches on fold. So the actual length of my band is 2 inches. Half inch is seam allowance, which I'm going to use to sew it to the skirt. So I'm going to join this together first, then I'll show you how to fix the band. I've joined the skirt, I've joined the sides, and I've also joined the back, and I attached my zipper. Now when making yours, please don't use an off-colored zipper. Use a matching colored zipper. I'm just doing this for the sake of this tutorial. So now this is the band. This is the band. This is what I'm going to do. This is my waistband. Now I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew from here. Now I'm going to leave half-inch seam allowance. See what I'm doing? I'm going to leave half-inch seam allowance here, which I'm going to use to sew this. I'll turn this way and I'll sew it. I'll sew with half-inch seam allowance. I'm not going to sew this part. I'll just sew with half-inch seam allowance. But before I sew this with half-inch seam allowance, I'm going to start by sewing this. I'll sew this round. I'll sew this round to this point. Now let me illustrate with pin. Let me show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew it this way. Now take note, I ironed the interfacing on my band. So after sewing, now I'm going to sew this way and I'll come get to this point, sew to this point. Now after sewing that way, I'm going to bring this. Now I'm going to join this with half-inch seam allowance. I'll sew here with half-inch seam allowance. Okay, let me also illustrate it, please. So I'll sew here with half-inch seam allowance. After sewing with half-inch seam allowance, I'm going to turn it to the right side. Now when I turn it to the right side, I'm going to have something like this. So when I turn it to the right side, I'm going to have something like this. So now this part, I'm going to fold in half-inch and I'll sew here with half-inch. So I'm going to turn here and I'll sew here with half-inch. I'll sew it to this point. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to do everything that I've just said now. I'm also going to hem the lower part and I'll do it and show you the outcome. This is my skirt, this is the front, and this is the back. So that's just it. Now I'm going to wear it. I'm going to wear this skirt and show you what it looks like. If you found this tutorial helpful, please click on the like button, share this video with your friends, share this video in your sewing groups, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Feel free to ask questions. I'll be in the comment section to answer all your questions. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.